Welcome guys to another Stuff You Tick video. If you haven't seen the previous videos, you are missing out. We are on a journey to find the best gaming PC experience that cheap guys like you and me can buy. And now we've gone all the way from a server to ATX to laptop, and finally we can go to MITX or ITX. I've had this case for over a year, standing on the shelf, just waiting for the right parts to arrive and for the inspiration to hit to actually build this thing. So this is the Phanteks Evolv ITX. Obviously, I've taken it out of the box. It is the white one. It's awesome. Nice tempered glass. I didn't do the peel yet. And it's just white at the back. But it's an awesome looking case. I bought it for quite cheap. Thanks to all the pandemics in the world right now, these are actually a little bit more expensive than what I bought it for, so I'm quite lucky. Our ITX build is going to have a 9100F. It's probably the best gaming CPU on a budget right now. Please don't throw Ryzen at me. Yes, Ryzen is amazing, but for the price to performance, nothing beats this at $60 or about $1,200. Really cheap CPU. You cannot beat that. Unfortunately, also due to the pandemic, prices of graphics cards has skyrocketed. So we're going to go for a GTX 1060 6GB. This is the Asus Dual White. Awesome card. I mean, look how sexy that is. It's going to go perfectly with our case. So I've kept this aside specifically for this build. Then ITX motherboards. This is quite an interesting one because it's quite expensive. Generally, ITX boards are very expensive. So I found the Gigabyte H310N. So obviously, this is one of the older Coffee Lake series boards. Super tiny, but it works really well and it's affordable. You can get this for about 1,800 Rand, which is roughly $90 or $100, which is quite cheap for an ITX motherboard. Super happy about this. This is not going to be a very fancy setup whatsoever, but yeah, we're going to use this motherboard. And then for the power supply, the smallest one that I had was the Cooler Master. Nice Cooler Master. This is the Cooler Master V750. So 750 watt gold rated power supply. It's modular, which is fantastic. It means we can take out any cables that are going to be unnecessary for the build that we don't need. It's also quite short compared to normal power supply. So quite happy with that. And then for storage, unfortunately, I didn't realize that this actually has an NVMe at the back of the board, one of the ones that you flip the board over and you can screw it in. Unfortunately, I did not realize that in time, so we're going to go with an old school normal 2.5 inch Kingston SSD. So enough of the jibber jabbering, let's build the setup. Very excited. So I'm just going to lie this down, maybe like that. I'm not going to do the peel, I think, right now. Need to remove this cover. Ooh, beautiful. Nice 120mm fan. This is like a drive cage that's removable if you have a really long graphics card that you want to remove. Okay, so once the panel is removed, I'm going to have to remove this panel just because we are going to need some access to the back for the power supply and for some cable management. This case is actually very cool. It's got these little Velcro belts to do nice cable management. I see it also has a drive bay here, or like a sleeve or whatever here for the SSD, which is really cool. It's got these nice little grommets or whatever you want to call them for cable management, and awesome. It even has these 3.5 inch trays. There's 2 of them, so that's awesome. We are not going to be adding any of that today, but it's good to know that we can in the future. The case is quite light, but you can see the build quality is really good. All right, so the first thing I do after opening the case like this, is actually locate my front panel IOs. It's much easier to try and do it now with an empty case. So that's a little pro tip for you. Is this RGB? Yeah, multicolor LED strips only. So that's RGB, that must be power for the RGB. We don't have any RGB in the system though, so we will not be using that, I am afraid. I'm not a big RGB fan. It has its place, I'm just not a massive fan of it. So to save time, I've already assembled the CPU with the memory, which is quite easy. Always remember to put your back plate in. Okay, well, now that the board is in, this would be a perfect time to get some IOs connected. Cool, so there we have it. We've got our board installed, RAM installed, all of the IOs connected. That was really quick. We're gonna drop in our graphics card next. It goes really nice together. I'm really digging this. Let me just see if I can fit it in like this. Ha! Looks like I'll make it. Screw this bad boy in. There we go. We've got a secured graphics card. That's what the system looks like right now. Nice and clean, fantastic, white, black looking, awesome. And that actually brings us to almost our last step. Just want to install the storage quickly. 120 gig Kingston SSD, and I wonder where I'm going to put this. Probably just at the back here. There's a nice little enclosure or cover, or yeah, enclosure is probably the right word I'm looking for. They've got these screws sticking out with rubber on them, and all you do, you literally just place it over and you push it up and it locks. Check that out. Kingston SSD installed. Really cool design, effortless. Last step is the power supply, and then we should theoretically have a working PC. Cool, so now we need to just put the power supply at the back. Just plonk that in there. So this is normal ATX form factor. And that's fantastic because any form factor will work. I do recommend maybe trying to get a shorter power supply just because of the clearance of the cables at the back here when you have to tuck them in. There we go. Not my finest cable management, but it's definitely cable managed to some degree. I don't like this here, but it's fine. Now we just need to screw in the power supply, and there we are. Done and dusted. This is what the cable management ended up looking like. Not too bad. Can probably do a better job if I spend more time on it. But this is a nice, clean setup. I am really happy with the way that it turned out. So now we can just put the side panels back on, and now our glass panel goes back up. Very easy to work around inside the case, get everything connected. Took me probably about 10 minutes to build this PC from beginning to end. Let us do that peel. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can see myself in it. It's so pretty. Okay, let's test it now. So would I recommend this setup? Yes, I would. This thing is absolutely incredible. I have to say, for a budget PC, it has outperformed all my expectations in multi-threaded applications, in gaming, in anything. The way it looks, whatever you need, this thing will fill it. It's nice and compact. This is really a big choice for me between the laptop setup and this ITX setup. I must say it looks very, very cool. So if you are in the market for an ITX setup, definitely consider these parts. They are amazing parts for an entry-level price. I think you're getting more bang for buck in this setup. And if you've liked this video, I suggest you subscribe and hit that like button. We are not done yet in finding the best gaming experience, not performance, that we can find in all platforms, from server all the way down to a phone. And we've hit the halfway mark. So subscribe so that you don't miss any of these future videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.